Ready? It's 6 o'clock? No? Let me know when you're ready.
Sorry.
Just about. Are you ready?
Yes, let's do it. Sorry. I'm ready. Let's go.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Treasurer Anderson.
Present.
Trustee Favdala.
Present.
Trustee Campbell.
Yes.
Trustee Klee.
Yes, ma'am.
Clerk Triplett. Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Trustee Burt.
Here.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Are there any additions or deletions to the evening's agenda? Oh, you see on here we have, it says add item J. It's the budget amendments. So actually, we have our controller, Kevin McIntyre, here this evening, and I, for his sake, because he's got to be right back here in the morning, would like to move up items I and J before A. Is that all right with everybody?
Sure. Yes.
I and J. I don't think there's any other additions or deletions. Oh, yes, there is.
Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Action item D
I was changing the
was moved forward from a previous agenda and wasn't ready to come, so we're going to take action item D off.
Cool. I was going
The
to ask about
agenda.
that. Thank you. Save me asking. So I'll get rid of that one.
I think those are the changes to the agenda. Does that make sense?
J is coming up. And what was the other? You want to bring I, wasn't it?
I and J will come
That's right.
forward, and
Got it.
D will be removed.
Yep.
And then, are there any corrections to the minutes of the budget workshop minutes? Do we? Any corrections to that? We'll accept those minutes. Yeah. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the budget workshop signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And how about approving the minutes of the regular meeting from December 5th, 2022, the 6 p.m. meeting? Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nobody. We will move on to public comment. If you would like to address the board, I'd ask that you come to the podium, give us your name, and you'll have 4 minutes to address the board. Hi.
Good evening. I'm Harold Steinman. Do you need the address? No. Okay, that's enough. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm here. I want to thank you as board members of Flint Township. That it's a tough job, and I want to thank you. You're doing a wonderful job, and thank you. On behalf of my family, I said thank you so much. A couple of things. First of all, there's one point of interest, point of information, I should say, that I want to present, that I presented before to the board and to the public, is that a few years ago I started a free eye clinic up on the north end of Flint. And that's available to anybody who doesn't have, who's the underserved. And it's on the corner of Pasadena and Lawndale in the St. Luke New Life Center. And if anybody knows of anybody, or they themselves can use it, please call us at St. Luke New Life Center. And I would like to be able to, if there's any suggestions as to how to get more publicity out to it, I'll be glad to listen to what you would suggest. But anyways, I want all of you, everybody in this room, to be aware of that it's available. It's a free exams, if necessary, free glasses, and it's great. Like I said, I get a whole lot more out of it than probably you realize, but it's I just want Flint Township to be aware of it. I've made the city of Flint aware of it. The city council and the mayor, and I also obviously I want Flint Township. There's another point that I want to bring up that is the main reason why I'm here, and it's something I've brought up about the last 3 or 4 years, and it has to do with at least my pride in Flint Township. I have lived here almost my entire life in Flint Township, and one of the wonderful things about living in Flint Township is the multi-ethnic, multiracial content of the people in our community. And if somebody were to drive into Flint Township and say, I wonder what this community is like, they would see by the lights, by the displays as far as what are on poles in the township, that we see only one religion that's represented. We see Christmas decorations. And I think it's important that we convey to people that, no, we're not one religion, we're multi-religion, we're Christian, we're Jewish, we're what do I think of the
Kwanzaa.
What's that?
Kwanzaa.
Oh, Kwanzaa, yes, but I mean I think of the
The
Muslims, and obviously I'm drawing a blank here. Anyways, the point is that we're religious, multi-ethnic group township, and I think we here I would like to present that to the board that I think it's time to do something about that. So when December starts coming around, that we have on our posts not just the presentation of the celebration of Christmas, but also the celebration of Hindus. That's the other group, obviously, of the representation of other ethnic, religious, racial groups that celebrate other religions, and I would like to see that represented in this community. It's like I said, that's what this community is, and I think that's what we should convey to people who visit this community or drive into this community or live in this community. I think it's to show that. I think it's I've been asking for that about the last 3 or 4 years, and I think it's time we really take a strong stand and look into how do we go about that, because I'm sure there are companies that make. If not, I'd be glad to be part of a committee or subcommittee to help in this, to get this out, because I want to do what's best for Flint Township, and like I said, I would be glad to help in any way.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Steinman.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? No? One last time? Anybody else would like to speak at public comment? Then we will move on to our reports. And I don't have much of a report, but as far as business-wise, as we draw to the end of this year and the year closes, I think back and I just found out a couple days ago that one of our residents passed away, Dennis Adams. He was a community serviceman. He watched out for his neighbors, and he served his neighbors, whether they knew it or not. He helped pick up trash. We go back many years. We would haul out tires from his neighborhood and take them downtown to where they collected the household waste at the Consumers Energy, across from the Consumers Energy, where you pay your bills. But I was saddened to learn that he passed away. I think it was a week ago Friday. And I was looking for his obituary, and I haven't seen it. Maybe it's not there yet. But when I was looking in the obituaries, I noticed some other people had died. And someone who supported me that lived or worked in the city of Flint, and he was well known as Terry Bankert. He was an attorney, and he passed away in November. That surprised me. My father passed away this year, my aunt passed away this year, and my best friend, Nina McGilvery, passed away this year. We've lost a lot of people. And it saddens my heart, but it makes me think of the good memories that I have with them, and it makes me count my blessings for how lucky we are to live here in the United States and have what we have. family, a roof over our head, food to eat, and a place to call home. So I just want to take just a moment now so that we can remember our family members. We can remember those who we used to celebrate with and who are no longer here. And I wish you the very best for the upcoming year. But we have a lot to be grateful for and a lot to be thankful for this past year. So if we could just take just a few seconds here and remember our loved ones. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
I do not.
Madam Treasurer?
I do not, because I'm assuming, Chief, you're going to cover the wonderful event that we attended today, Chief? I do not.
Are there trustee reports this evening? No? Can I put Trustee Vert on the spot?
Yes, do it, and then come back to me.
So you know that Trustee Vert serves on the Senior Center board. They have a new librarian who, and I know you've directed her to call us. They rent from the township. That's our building. And I know that they've contacted the Senior Center. Maybe we could, what, do you remember her name? I don't.
It's Stella Taylor. I just got an email from her Saturday.
Maybe we could,
I said I'd come over and talk to her.
Maybe we could go over and meet her or have her come over here and meet her. I know that the police and fire do events over there at the Senior Center. And like I said, we just got a new librarian. It'd be nice to meet her. Thanks, Barb.
To follow up on Dr. Steinman's comments, he and I have had conversation, his children and I have had conversation over the years, and we both, I'm going to support him on what he was talking about. He was having a hard time picking that out of his brains because we were both just standing out in the cold for 45 minutes, and Madam Supervisor was there as well for a minute and got out, but we both came out of the cold from when they lit the menorah. And we do have that, but unfortunately, you're right, and we have had that conversation. You and I just had another brief conversation outside, and I'd like to, if he and I were talking, and I said I would be more than happy to do some research on the internet, and he was going to contact some communities that we could see what other communities that are Jewish-based and or other religions that are practiced and supported in their communities, so that we can see how we can address that. And I wrote my notes here, call Dr. S. and communicate with him. So, and we do that. So I'll chase you down, Chief. Other than that,
So I know that you've mentioned that for maybe 3 years now, and I know maybe a lot of people don't know that the DDA, our Downtown Development Authority, and the Beecher Road, not the Beecher Road, and the Bristol Road Corridor Improvement Authority are the ones who they capture increases on taxes within their districts. They use those funds to purchase or to rent those decorations. And I think that they would appreciate any input from any of our residents who'd like to serve on a committee to help do that. That'd be great.
and I mentioned to him that we could talk to Tracy and actually to Barb, because she does so much with that as well, that we could talk about and see how we could go about doing some research. Anyway, we have 360 days in essence until, or 350 days till we need to be able to get them up.
So if we were going to talk about decorations and lights, I think we need to take a trip down to Detroit and see what they have down there and maybe come back with some ideas here. It's beautiful.
I have a ladder we could tie on my wait, never mind.
Alrighty. Thank you very much. Any other trustee reports? No? We'll move on to staff reports.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Since our last board meeting, your police responded to over 1,200 calls. In addition, we had 200 traffic stops, 150 business checks, and 59 residence checks. And for a holiday season, might be extra patrols. We've been having extra patrols in the business corridor, Miller, Linden, and Corona, just to beef up our presence a little bit. In addition, Best Buy and the Genesee Valley Mall have been paying for officers to be located at their site. So you do see extra police officers out there. We had a shooting on Friday night. Approximately 15 shots were fired at a birthday party, and his 17-year-old is a hit. Right now, he's currently listed in stable condition at a local hospital. Of course, the investigation is still ongoing. Anybody with information is please ask to call Detective Weber, 810-600-3250. Over the weekend, we participated in the Wreaths Across America, the event that they hold every year, and this year they placed over 19,000 wreaths at the cemetery down in Holly. Using the money from our police department for Beers for Kids, we teamed up with ServPro and Walmart, and we raised over $2,500, and we donated that amount of coats, hats, gloves, and pants to Carmen Ainsworth School District. So we use that money to a different purpose, but still
Great.
for a very good purpose. And of course, as Treasurer Anderson said, we had the Academy graduation today. I think it was 27 individuals that were there. So 27 future law enforcement officers. It's always great to see the young blood, sometimes older blood, come into our profession. It's a great, honorable profession to see it and to see their joy and the looks on their faces knowing they graduate and get to start their career. It's always a great experience. So out of that 27, we got 2 that started working for us today. They are sworn in. So thank you guys for the ones that could come. And we're looking forward to having some new blood at our police department.
Very young.
I'm just very old, I think, now. So, and I do not have any action items for the agenda tonight. I do want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Chief Beckley?
Thank you. Since the last board meeting, your fire department has responded to 50 calls. On the 7th, we responded to a reported structure fire in the 3000 block of Corona Road. This is a business down near Corona and I-75. It was reported heavy smoke coming from the building. Luckily, after investigation, it was only found to be their oil burner that the chimney had caught fire in. Very minimal damage out of the building. Sounded a lot worse than it was, luckily. On the 12th, we responded to a reported structure fire at Clover Tree Apartments. Upon arrival, we found a significant water leak that was causing electrical issues in the building. There was no fire, but there was significant water damage to a couple of units there. Later on that evening, in the early morning hours of the 13th, we had another possible structure fire at Ramsgate Apartments. Fire crews arrived to find a small cooking fire that was nearly out. There was a lot of smoke in the building, so we did have to ventilate that building for a short time. On the 16th, we responded to a mutual aid request to Flint City Fire Department on several fires. They had a commercial building on fire in the 300 block of Bradley Avenue. We were requested as part of 5 other departments that were also responding with them. While there, we responded to two other fires, one of them being a house fire with entrapments in Flint. Unfortunately, one person did not make it out of that fire. Our fire crews were in Flint City for approximately 4 hours assisting them on that busy day. On the 18th, we responded to a residential house fire in the 4000 block of Townview. We arrived to find heavy smoke inside of the home. Luckily, the fire was contained to the kitchen with moderate damage just to the kitchen and stove area. Due to a quick response and the police department closing the door to the home, that heavily contributed to the fire being kept small and almost smothered out. So, great job to them as well. And we have no action items on the agenda this evening. And again, just like Chief Salter, just want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, and see everybody in 2023.
We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Close. Almost.
Kevin, I know you don't usually have a report. Did you have anything to report, or you just want to stick to the action items?
Stick to the action.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Can I add something to mine? I'm sorry. Chief Salter talked about, and I spoke to 2 of the elementary principals, and they so appreciate all the hard work that you guys do. But something that, and I didn't even think of this, you guys, and I'm going to throw it out to everybody. That's why I told the girls, the ladies, when I spoke to them, I'm going to say something. Everybody talks about gloves and hats and coats. Elementary school teachers are constantly, in essence, crying for socks. Because a little kid will go outside and play in the snow and come inside, and his feet are soaking wet. And she's like, "Gosh, it never even clicked." I mean, we all talk about gloves and hats and the coats, but they go outside, they're wet, and they come in and their boots are soaked. Or, I had Wonder Bread in my boots. A couple of you might be as old as me. You remember that, Mark Showalter. But yeah, I mean, if we could put together a collection, and it can happen after the first of the year. Maybe if you guys go and you see socks on sale, or a bunch of little white socks, or 2 to 8s, and I'm going to take a bunch over to Di and to Dylan, and just because socks would be something that she was like, I'm begging for socks.
I know the AFSCME union took up a collection, and I'm not sure if they dedicated it to anything yet, but maybe you can mention it to them.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on that, Chief. Thank you so much. Socks.
Great. So we'll go on to committee reports. I know that the road advisory met. John, can you give a report from the road advisory, please?
Good evening, Township Board. John Whiteside, the Secretary of the Road Advisory. And as I mentioned 2 meetings ago that we would be back with a project list for 2023. And I thought Mike Pfeiffer was coming, but he's not here tonight, so I'll have to kind of run over some other stuff here. Anyways, he gave us the report at the meeting. All the 2022 projects were done. I guess I'll cover that first. It was Lavelle Road, Flushing to Pasadena, Mackin Road from Lavelle to the city limits, and Concord Street, west of Lavelle Road down to where the mobile home park is. And the total projects, the cost was $884,000 for the year, and this is the 2022. And the funds came from road millage, CDBG funds, 50/50 funds, some refunded money from the Genesee County Road Commission, in addition to the 50/50 funds that Supervisor Miller was able to get from Grand Blanc and Genesee Townships. And then we had some reserve engineering fees. We estimated this year's projects would be $1,044,588. One of the things that helped save some costs was in the Lavelle Road project. There was 24 manholes, sewer manholes, and 5 water manholes. And that was, we were able to pay for that through the sewer water fund. So that saved the road millage and the whole project's another $41,875. One of Lavelle came in under budget. The other 2 was a little over budget. So when it was all done, and when all the bills come in, we should be about $160,000 to the good. Those funds will be moved over to the 2023 projects. And that's when they get the final bids, and they got to wait for all the paperwork to come in. And moving on to the 2023. As I reported about 2 meetings ago that we were meeting and working out the 2023 road projects. I believe you all have that in your agenda package. You have both 2022 and 2023 with all the costs. And the advisory committee, after discussion with Mike Pfeiffer, he gave us some rough estimates, better estimates than we got the first time. You got to try to narrow in what we have money to work with. So we're looking to do River Valley. That's 2,000 feet from the Beecher Road back to the new pavement at River Birch. Then we're looking to do Ramsgate, which is off of Calkins Road, from Calkins down to where it goes into the apartments. That road needs to be resurfaced, and at the corner there at Calkins, they had some culvert issues, or there wasn't a drain on one side of that island, so that's all got to be repaired too. And that was something we had, both of these first 2 are projects we talked about doing in this project year, but because of costs, we decided to push them off, and we just didn't have the funds. Shady Hill Court, it's off a Dimetal Lane. It's a little road that goes up. It's got a cul-de-sac. We've had residents complaining about that for several years. They came to the road advisory meetings. So we're looking to get that one done. Charter Oak Drive. That is a concrete road. It runs from Judd Road up to Whispering Oak Drive. And we're looking to do spot concrete pavement repair. Mike looked at that and he said the whole road doesn't need it, but there are some real bad sections. So we're going to do spot repairs on that. Trotwood Lane is another one that was brought to us. That's in Pickwick. Goes from Pickwick east and west to Pickwick Place north and south. It's a little road. It goes, the little section goes north and south, then it runs west. So we looked at doing just the bad area, and we looked at doing the whole road, and the committee decided we would just do the whole road. So Trotwood Lane is part of that. And it looks like we'll have enough funds left over. So we look in this project list, we have Calkins and Dye Road intersection. There's been some issues with that, pavement falling off. So we've got that in the plan, as well as some repair on Dye Road from Court Street to Reuben. If you drive by there, you'll see the pavement caving off to the side of, I think it's on this side of Dye Road. So a motion was made, and it was passed unanimously by the Township's Road Advisory Committee to bring those recommendations to you, and I know you have all that in your packet, I believe. Also at this meeting, sadly, Wayne Neerman presented Karen Miller with a letter of resignation from the Township Road Advisory Committee. Wayne was one of the original members of this advisory committee, and he has served this committee 16 years, served it well, and Karen Miller read his letter of resignation to the committee. We're sad to see him leave, but people have to move on and do what they want to do. So the committee suggested a proclamation honoring Wayne be given to him. And Supervisor Miller said she would try to get that done. So I would like to personally thank Wayne for all of his time and service to the township. I also want to wish Township Board, Fire Department, Police Department, your staff and all the residents a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the work that you do, John. And on that note, I'd ask if Wayne would come up front here so that we can say thank you. I'll meet you in the middle there. So it was as John said, I opened a letter from Wayne and it said I'm resigning, which is unfortunate. So we just wanted to say thank you for all that you've done. You and your wife have served our community well. I don't know how many years, Linda, you've worked on elections, and you were right there by our side. But I know that you've been on the committee since its inception, so I'll read our little proclamation of appreciation. Whereas for the past 16 years, the community of the Charter Township of Flint has been receiving the benefits of the commitment and service from the members of the Road Advisory Committee, and whereas the Charter Township of Flint Board of Trustees does wish to express their continuing appreciation and to acknowledge the cooperation and dedication of one of the retiring Road Advisory Committee members, Wayne Neerman, serving on the committee since the committee was formed in 2006, and whereas the Charter Township of Flint Board of Trustees, on behalf of the residents of the Charter Township of Flint, does extend wishes of continuing neighborly relationship with Linda and Wayne Neerman, residents of Flint Township since 1967. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Charter Township of Flint does hereby offer this proclamation of appreciation to Wayne Neerman in honor of his 16 years of volunteer service on the Road Advisory Committee at the regular meeting held on December 19, 2022. Thank you very much. Did you want to say anything?
A lot of time going out different things, and I think we did some good with, and we need more.
We do need more.
But I hate to give it up, but best you can do. So you got to reach out and try to grab somebody to help.
Yeah. And I think Linda is offering her services too if we need an alternate. I think we have a full roster right now, but Linda, you've been really instrumental in your neighborhood, especially with when they did the special assessment district and got all the roads and the drainage fixed in your neighborhood. So thank you. Thank you very much, Wayne. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So can I have a motion to approve the proclamation?
Please so moved that we accept the proclamation presented this evening in regards to Mr. Wayne Neerman and his services on the Road Advisory and with Flint Township for the past
Is there a
16
second
years.
to the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Anybody else wanted to say anything? Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the proclamation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those, thank you. We will move on to number 8, payment of bills. Madam Treasurer?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we pay invoices in the amount of $1,383,980.36, and to acknowledge disbursements, tax disbursements in the amount of $122,679.59, for a grand total of $1,506,659.95.
That's a lot of money. Is there a second to the motion? Or any questions for Madam Treasurer? Any further discussion? So, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on paying the bills in the amount of $1,383,980.36.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Clee?
Yes.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Trustee Fabdog?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. For correspondence and informational items, you'll notice under action item F, as John Whiteside was saying, there's a 2023 proposal with road estimates, followed by the 2022 update as far as invoices that were paid or projects that were worked on. So that's pretty much informational items, but it's in there with action item F. So we move on to new business. Action item I would be the 2023 budget appropriations resolution. So I can head there. Is there anything you wanted to say on that, Mr. McIntyre?
No, just essentially it's the budget that we all saw at the workshop. It was the preparation budget that I prepared, not the department head budget.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2023 budget appropriations resolution for 2023 there as submitted by our controller.
Is there a second to the motion?
We would support.
Is there any further discussion? Any questions for Controller McIntyre? Any comments? Anything?
Hard work. Good job.
It was a long process. So we have a motion and a second on approving the Appropriations Resolution Act. And if there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the 2023 Budget Appropriations Resolution.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Clee?
Yes.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Trustee Fabdog?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
No.
And Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to action item J is the 2022 budget amendments. Did you have anything on that item?
Nope, this were just budget amendments that are required so that we're not over budget in any of our departments.
So would someone like to make a motion on the amendments for the 2022 budget?
Clee would move to accept the amendments as presented.
Anderson supports.
Any further questions or discussion?
Just one, you just mentioned, you said we wouldn't be for any of our line items, so some of all of this is coming out of the rainy day, the
General fund.
General fund, yep.
general funding, okay.
Yeah. And we adopt a budget at the department level, so with the increase in, obviously, 8% inflation, there's just different accounts that are over budget that we need to just amend them to account for the increase in costs.
Before we get to the end of the year, so
Yep.
can you, on Public Works, the roads expenditures, is that the any of the special assessments?
No, that was, so when we created the budget, we didn't think there'd be any cost to it, but as some of the roads weren't completed and we had to pay the final 10% contingency, that's where that number comes from. It's the sort of the hold-off costs that weren't expensed last year that we just need to now expense this year.
Which will be paid back?
Well, yes, technically it is part of the special assessment because all that cost was either paid by the special all the people who have their special assessments.
So that money will go back to where it was borrowed from
Yeah,
eventually, right?
right, eventually,
Okay.
yes.
Alrighty, any other questions?
Can Kevin go over all these?
Yeah.
Just
Do you have
start
it in
at the
front of you?
top and just go through them.
Do you have it in front of you?
I do not.
Here.
Here's an extra one.
So the first one is in the Elections Commission Department. It's $31,000 that needs to be added for part-time wages. Essentially, this election was more costly than in prior ones. When you have a lot of, the big thing now is people who are voting absentee. That's a lot more work. It's more labor intensive. So what we originally had in the budget for part-time help was low. And that essentially is just the cost to have all the people to run the elections.
You had 3 elections last year, right?
Yes.
And you don't know how many you're going to have next year, do you?
We're hoping none, but we're not sure yet.
But you, not that it's likely, but you could have 3 elections.
Possibility. Bring with me.
You know, fun.
The next one is under professional services. These are just basically in professional services like legal expense or accounting expense. This is $10,000 that we need to add for auditing fees, and it was just an increase in the cost of the audit. It took much more time. It was my first audit, so it was a little bit more labor intensive on their end, coming out and helping and going through the audit. So it took longer than expected, so we just needed to adjust the budget. And I've had to adjust next year's budget because they said basically all those costs are going up, just like every other cost.
Didn't you set up with this new system that we have, didn't you set up the ability for them to access read-only?
Yep.
So that was something new.
So,
that-
yeah, hopefully to offset some of the costs, they'll be able to work from their office and just log into our system and have, like, whatever reports they run, rather than coming on site, having me run them, providing them. They can log into our system as a read-only access and run whatever reports that they may need.
Great.
The next one is in the building department. $51,000 needs to be added to expenditures for property maintenance or property management ordinance. There's always just an estimate that we do for how many houses are we going to have to tear down, how many fires are there that now need to be boarded up after the fire and that kind of stuff. That number, again, is just an estimate, our best guess, but we have no control of how many fires there are, how many people don't pay their taxes, how many, houses that need to be torn down. So this adjustment, I wouldn't say is out of the ordinary. It's just we did not plan for as many issues that we had this year.
So of these expenses, they get charged to the property owner on the taxes, and hopefully and essentially that should be reimbursed through them.
In an ideal situation, yes. But we have properties where if you put $10,000 on their tax bill to tear it down, why would they pay that bill? If they want to keep their property, obviously they need to pay those taxes. But there is a large occurrence of those properties just get let and sent to the land bank and
Let go. Okay.
the next one is the public works. That's the $390,000. That's like the 10% portion of the different projects that needed to be expensed this year. And the last one is in the fire safety equipment fund. It's not in the general fund. The first ones I talked about were all general fund. This one is in the fire safety equipment. It's essentially $30,000 that wasn't in the budget because we were going to purchase a new vehicle. Now that we've purchased a new vehicle, that was something that came up at the end of this year when it was decided to get the new vehicle. So it clearly wasn't in the budget when we budgeted last year. So that's what that amendment is for.
Any questions?
Thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
All right, hearing none. Motion would be in order to approve these amendments. Did we already do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who made the motion?
Me.
Thank you.
Melissa.
So any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Queen.
Yes.
Trustee Campbell. Yes. Trustee Fambro.
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson.
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Vert.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And you wanted to head out. That's great.
Okay. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Appreciate your hard work.
No problem.
We move on to action item B. Did you want to cover that?
Yes, so New Creation Church has a pastor, and we are presenting Reverend Mark Staton II with a proclamation from the township as asked for by New Creation Church.
Is there a new pastor, you said?
Yes.
Or is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second to the motion? Any questions or discussion on the proclamation for the new pastor? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the proclamation for Reverend Mark Andrew Staton II, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It passes. Thank you very much. Action item B, you have before you is a request to use ARPA funds for a lump sum payment. We have, over the past couple of years, received funds for COVID hazard pay for police and fire. We received funds for, it was a grant, Kevin, wasn't it, for supplies and materials to help for personal protective equipment.
Correct.
We received over $3 million of ARPA funds, and we have, through negotiations, given lump sums to our police and fire, which is what that was intended, one of the categories that you could use it for. Well, here at the end of this year, it was suggested, and I'd like to present to the board that we pay out a lump sum payment to our non-first responders, because we haven't done that. And you have before you a resolution to pay out a one-time lump sum payment to the clericals, AFSCME clerical employees, and the Teamsters communication operators, the non-union full-time, all the full-time people in those two unions, and the department heads, non-union, would receive $1,000, and part-time employees would receive. We have part-time employees in the ComOps, and a couple here in the township, and a records a records clerk. Is that what's her title? So the personnel committee agreed that this would be a good thing for our employees for appreciation. And we have some employees who haven't been here the whole year, and they're, whether they're full-time or part-time, that would be prorated according to the amount of time that they've worked here. And a motion would be in order to approve that lump sum payment out of ARPA dollars.
We would move that we accept the proclamation to support the individuals stated in the resolution through the ARPA dollars, of course, at no cost out of the general fund of Flint Township's money.
Anderson supports.
Any questions or discussion on that? Trying to get to, let's see. Just wanted to get the total amount on here.
31083.31. Do you want me to read that?
Please.
Into my motion?
In your motion.
So into my motion, in the amount of $31,083.31 paid directly from the ARPA funds that are still, still in the township's discretion.
Alrighty, and there was a second to that?
Yes.
Lisa.
You did? Alrighty. Any questions or discussion? None? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to approve the lump sum payment for the employees listed out of the ARPA funds, please.
Trustee Fambro.
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson.
Yes.
Trustee Campbell.
Yes.
Trustee Clee.
Yes, ma'am.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Vert.
Yes.
Thank you.
It appears I skipped over action item A.
I'll ask you about that.
So we're going to go back to that.
Okay.
It's the rezoning ordinance,
Yeah.
3506 Lennon Road. Pulling that up right now.
I read over some of my whoops. Sorry.
So this was introduced The introduction, tonight's the introduction. It's a first reading. The second reading would be at the meeting in January. It says here January 2nd, but we have to approve that schedule, so that may be amended. And it's at the second and final reading that we would approve or deny this rezoning ordinance. So tonight is the first reading. So we move on from there to action item E is the 2023 Poverty Exemption Resolution and Guidelines. It's presented by our assessor, Paula Dotson.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the 2023 Poverty Exemption Resolution and Guidelines as presented by our assessor.
1 second.
Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the 2023 Poverty Exemption Resolution and Guidelines signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? It stands approved. We move on to action item F is the 2023 Flint Township Road Projects. Secretary Whiteside from the Road Advisory Committee read the list and mentioned that it was a unanimous recommendation that the board approve the roads as presented. You have the cost estimates before you. A motion would be in order to move forward.
We would move that we accept the proposal for the 2023 Flint Township Road projects as presented from Mr. Whiteside and the Road Advisory Committee, and in guidance with the help from Mike Pfeiffer and his guidance. Sorry about that.
Sure. So we have a motion for the proposed 2023 Flint Township Road projects. Is there a second to the motion?
Second it.
Are there any questions or discussion? Anyone? So John listed all the projects, and number 6, item 6 on this list, there should be roughly $30,000 left over after we do the first 5 projects. And if there's enough money based on the estimates, we were looking at doing some spot repair at the intersection of Calkins and Dye Road, and then south on Dye Road between Court Street and Reuben. So we'll be able to get to those projects as long as none of these estimates and bids exceed, if something comes in much higher, then we're not going to get to those projects. But if there's money available, we'll do those repairs on Dye Road. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions on these road projects? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the proposed 2023 Flint Township Road projects.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Trustee Clee?
Yes.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Trustee Favdon?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you. I got everybody there.
Thank you. Action item G is the tax reverted property resolution. We received a letter from the Genesee County Treasurer, Deb Cherry. We have a list of properties that have been foreclosed on. They're tax reverted properties that are in the possession of the treasurer. The township has first right of refusal. We'd end up with these properties in our possession unless we reject them. They've already been up for auction. They went through 2 auctions from the treasurer. They went for a minimum bid, which is what's owed on the property, and then the second auction is a 0 bid, and here they are. These are all residential. I don't see any of these that would benefit the township in any way, and I'm guessing, I'm assuming that the board does not want to receive these, so the county's waiting for a resolution from us tomorrow rejecting these properties. A motion would be in order.
We would move to accept the representations so as to send a resolution back to the county on the tax reverted pieces that we will deny wanting ownership. Thank you.
Is there a second to that motion?
Anderson.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, I don't think there's any question on that, is there?
The only, as we've done with a few of these in the past, where we have had an opportunity for someone, say, God forbid, I'm going to look to the chief, if a house burns down next door to me or one of us and it becomes a vacant lot, and the opportunity is that property owner no longer wants it, and it's either going to be, they're not going to pay any taxes, I could then, through this buy that vacant land, and it puts it back. The nice thing is it puts it back on the tax rolls for us because it becomes at least some sort of an assessed piece. In this case, we would be, if I may, we're going to be ones that are going to have to go pay to board it up, cut the grass, do anything that's not. No, wait, no, not if we do not do what we're doing this evening. We own these.
Right.
We own these, and then it's our responsibility to cut them, make sure they're cleaned up, make sure they're maintained. And unfortunately, we just don't have the money to do that. And it would be nice that maybe they can get somebody to buy them, put them back on our tax rolls, but we're not out anything. That's why I'm supporting this.
Great.
Agreed.
Great. So, I mean, that is a problem because they have so many homes in the inventory at the land bank. They don't get to every single one when the maintenance is needed. And we also have some properties in our possession, and we talked at our workshops for the budget about trying to raise some revenue, trying to sell these properties. And there's not a lot, but we need to get them sold and back on the tax roll. And then to work with the land bank because they have a couple hundred properties from Flint Township, our jurisdiction, in their inventory, and they have these things called side lot programs. So if there happens to be a home next door to you that's owned by the land bank, they can work with you for a deal to purchase the property next door, which is a win-win for everybody. Because then it gets back on the tax roll, it gets out of their inventory, they're no longer responsible for maintenance, and it will be maintained by the new property owner. But yeah, we're not interested in these properties. So we have the motion, a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That was loud and resounding. The action item H is the 2023 meeting calendar. If we could take a peek at that calendar, it was brought to my attention a couple things. One is, does anyone have any questions or discussion on the calendar as presented for next year?
We do need to look at some of the dates due to things that occurred last year, or this past 22, and things that will probably occur in 23. So maybe
So-
take a quick look at a couple of those.
You see on your paper, there's 3 blue highlighted, and I don't know if it shows up blue in yours. It's
Black and white.
May 1st, 2023, August 7th, 2023, and November 6th, 2023. Those have asterisks in front of it, and if there's going to be an election called the following day, we will not have a board meeting on those days because of how much work it requires to do the elections. Then you'll notice there's another highlighted date, September 5th. That's the day after Labor Day, so it looks like that's the only date of all these days. There will be a meeting on Tuesday. That's why that was highlighted.
Yep.
So it was brought to my attention this July 3rd is Monday. So you have the weekend, then you have July 3rd that we could meet, and looks like we may be planning to meet, but then there's July 4th the next day, which is a holiday. And so it was suggested, and I'm just throwing it out there, that we might, instead of meeting on the 3rd, either, what was the suggestion, to
Fox was the move it to the 10th.
switch it to the 10th and just have one meeting that month?
I think that we have that same thing happen this year for 2022, and it worked out pretty well. It allowed for that no issue gap in the middle there. Move it to the 10th and just fluctuate those two.
Does anyone have any comments on that?
I would support moving it to the 10th.
July 10th?
Dropping the other.
Any other input?
So July 10th and just have that one meeting for July.
Yeah, if that's approved by the board. Any other input on that?
We also talked about looking at, I think, it is, okay, the August 7th
Yeah, I mentioned that.
would be because of an election, and we were talking that, what may or may not happen, and there's some things in the county government that could come to make implications that we would be having a primary based on that. So impacting the township,
Right.
and that it's to be determined, as I said earlier this month.
Right.
September Labor Day, I think we looked at that and said that was okay, wasn't it? Trying to find.
Yeah, that's a Tuesday.
Yes. Oh, yes, that would become a Tuesday meeting instead of the Monday, the regular schedule. And then, I'm sorry, I've got it all up here. I don't mean to overstep your seat, Chief. I'm sorry about that. November, we looked at November and possibly
They're mad.
another election. Sorry, not you two. Another election we were talking about that it might happen on this. I'm going to just sit here and close my mouth. Never mind.
So I want to bring to your attention, we reviewed these dates as far as these offices being open, and I know one of the changes we made, next year, December 24th is Christmas Eve, which is a recognized holiday in the AFSCME union contract. It's a Sunday. Christmas Day, we're closed on a Monday, and we discussed closing when others observe the 2 days, Monday, Tuesday. So this says Sunday, Monday. We discussed Monday, Tuesday, which would be the 25th and 26th. That's not reflected here. So we would be closed Monday, the 25th, and Tuesday, the 26th. And then, as the situation is this year, Sunday is Christmas, and when I looked on my calendar, it's observed on Monday, but we're open. The post office, the banks and stuff, they'll be closed. We were trying to fix that for next year, but then that would roll into the following year to be closed on Monday, Tuesday. So we're going to have to discuss this the beginning of next year, because there's going to have to be an agreement with the union on how we handle December 31st, which is New Year's Eve, which is a recognized holiday, and it falls on a Sunday. And we're trying to get away from those in lieu of days, those floating holidays. So did everyone get that change? Instead of the 24th and the 25th, we'll be closed the 25th and 26th. And the one change in July is to go to July 10th meeting and have that one meeting that month. Any other questions or discussion or comments?
Do we know when National Night Out is, Chief?
We do.
Need to put
Yes, we
that
do.
on our calendar.
I got it.
Tuesday in August?
Oh, it's usually the first Tuesday. Usually, right around election time it happens, so a lot of times we have to cancel it.
It is August 1st.
Okay.
August 1st.
Is it a Tuesday usually? Yeah.
Yes,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, August 1st.
August 1st.
And as how does the law read? The election is the first Tuesday after the first Monday. So this way it will, it's the elections is the first
Say
Tuesday.
so. I believe you.
No, it's so this way National Night Out is not impacted by the election because it's the first of the month, period.
Good.
We actually talked about that one also.
Are there any other changes on this calendar? Hearing none, a motion would be in order to approve it.
We would move to accept the calendar as presented with the changes we discussed just now.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the 2023 does it say where is it?
Board of Trustees meeting calendar, 2023 meeting calendar.
Yeah.
Because we won't need to discuss
The
this.
Charter Township of Flint meeting date, the 2023 calendar, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. We've already done action item I and J. Our next meeting, let's see. So on this paper, our agenda tonight, it says our next meeting is January 2nd, but as we just approved this evening, we are switching that to January 9th. Our next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting, will be here in this room, 6 p.m., January 9th. And if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Right.